What now?
Hey, man.
What's happening?
Oh, not a whole lot. I'm just working here, working on ESR, shipping orders and all that good stuff. So good to meet you. First time, Joe Kremkow. Did I say that right?
Yeah, I think the formal way is Kremko, but my family's always went with Kremkow, kind of. We've always just kind of rolled with either one. I mean, it's definitely a lot closer than I've heard some people say it.
Sure. And you got the number 388. Were you happy to be born in March of 88?
No, I was born May 20th of 98. My brother raced, and when he raced back when I was younger, that's how we did our numbers. He was 918, and then I was 520 for a while.
Okay. I just always try to figure out what people's numbers are if they have some sort of meaning behind it.
Yeah, I think honestly, when I was like 12, I was like a big Jason Lawrence fan racing, but I didn't want to take his number. So instead of kind of copying his, which was 338, I went with 388, and it's kind of stuck through the years.
Yeah, yeah. Very good. And I saw your November report. That was pretty sweet. You got some pictures in there of your races, and you had some pretty good finishes recently.
Yeah, it's I'm down in South Carolina right now, and we're racing a local like outlaw style outdoor race. So for like my A class, we only get 5 or 6 guys in it. So, but I mean, either way, I think I got a second and 2/3 so far. I mean, running with the A class and the local pro guys, it ain't, I ain't ashamed about it at all.
It sounds like it's pretty good results for what you're doing.
Yeah, it's they're definitely coming around. Like this past weekend, he's a local down here, but Robbie Horton, he's 41 years old, still killing the A class. Been racing A class for like 20 years. I mean, I'd like to beat him, but at the same time, I definitely don't take no shame in losing to him. And then we got another younger kid, Max Darlin. He's from Florida that's been coming up. And it's pretty cool because me and him brought the same speed. He's coming back from a hip injury. So he's getting back into it. I'm getting used to A class, and we're kind of close to the same speed right now. It's pretty sweet, but he's been kicking my butt lately.
And so you just said you came up to the A class recently. So what were you doing before, and how has that change affected your riding style?
We were racing College Boy and B class, and biggest thing is A class. It's like the second race, I just got flat out beat like by probably 10, 15 seconds, like not even close. And I had the realization after of like, I can't hit corners in second gear anymore. It's third, fourth gear. And when I crash, it's going to be gnarly now. Like there's no tipping over anymore. And I've had to come to that conclusion and come to terms with it. And like the start, even our starts are off of a gate drop, and like B class or even before in like C class, whoever could run it in deepest normally got the whole shot. And now they have so much knowledge and they're so much smarter that like just because you run it in deep doesn't mean you're getting the whole shot. They'll cut underneath you and take it from you. But we all hold our line and respect each other, which is pretty cool about it.
Yeah, you have to have that respect for each other. You can race bar to bar, but you know that the guy next to you most of the time is going to do it. He's planning on doing, with the motion he's already committed to.
Oh yeah.
But,
Yeah, it's me and Max, like I said, we've been close off almost every single start. And I know the first round at Top Gun, it came down to the last lap, last corner, and a couple people were like, "Well, you could have took him out and got paid." And I said, "Well, I got a feeling I got to race this guy a lot more, and I don't know his backstory. I don't know who he is." And come to find out, like he's just coming back from a hip injury, and I'm like, "Yeah, I would have felt bad doing that." And it's the respect that like everybody's got for each other. Of we all want to get paid, but we're not gonna take you out on purpose for it.
yeah, and reputation that gets built over a long period of time. So if you have a history of doing that, people are going to want to stay far away from you. Nobody wants to race with somebody who's dirty and taking people out.
Yeah, which is, I mean, like I've got like a little bit of everybody like growing up from Michigan always is like, well, you over rev a bike like Barsha, and I always like looked up to Barcia. Like Barcia's one of my more favorite riders.
Yeah.
But even now that I'm getting older, I'm like, some of the stuff he does, I'm like, that's questionable. Like he's got to go race Tomac the following weekend or Rocks in the following weekend. Like I don't know if I would have done that.
Yeah. It's a little rude sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, and that's how I see it too. Is like, I mean, it's cool. He's got a cool style, but and I look up to him, like I said. But some of the stuff I even am like, man, it's aggressive, it's dirty.
Yeah. So when you do inevitably get injured or you've been injured in your past, what do you do mentally to come back from that? Because some people who not are interested or don't follow motorcycle racing all the time, you know, the injuries that we sustain are much different than say a hockey player or football or baseball player.
Oh yeah. Um, Ironically enough, we're like a year to the date since I tore my meniscus, and I still haven't went and got surgery on it in my left knee. Um, when it happened, the trainer I had at the time, we were just out riding this track, and it was a freak deal. And yeah, I thought my whole 2020 year was done.
Yeah.
And like, initially, like your first 24-hour period is like you're crushed, don't know what to do, kind of emotional about it. But then once I went and got it checked out, the down here we don't have like a walk-in doctor. You got to go to urgent care first, and then they can refer you to the orthos. So like the urgent care doctor was actually a knee specialist. Like that's what he studied in school. And he told me right off the bat, he's like, I think this is what you did. And I asked him, I said, well, how, what's the consequences of it? And he said, really, being that, he goes, I don't think you did your ACL with it, but he goes, I don't know because we don't have MRI. But he goes, you might have a chance still of having a year. So like that gave me hope. And I just kind of did what they said, keep the weight off of it and do whatever I could just to like already try healing it if I didn't need surgery. And then as soon as I found out I didn't need surgery, when I see my knee specialist at the ortho place, it was like game on. Like I asked him, I said, how soon can I cycle? Like how much weight can I put on it? Like what can I like asked him like what could I do for it? And like I guess the biggest thing to answer the question of like how to not mentally get crushed about it is just look at the positives of like the hope that's still there. Like shoot for the bigger picture still, even if it's like a 3% chance that it can come through. Or it's luckily it's been a while since I've broken a bone, so I guess that's a different story. But I remember the last time I did my collarbone, I did it back to back. I got cleared 4 weeks and I broke it again day one.
Oh man.
And I guess breaking a bone is a little bit different than like a muscle in the knee. But for breaking a bone, same thing. Just shoot at the when can I get back? What can I do to be fully healthy? Because like if you say you break your ankle or your leg or wrist, whatever, and you sit on the couch and do nothing for the 6 or 8 weeks you're out, when you get released, everything's going to suffer. So if you break your ankle, but you're still trying to do your push-ups, keep your upper body right, when you come back, you're not going to be way, way behind. You'll still be a little behind, some catch up to do, but you're not going to be as bad off as you would of doing nothing.
Right, and you can focus on other things. You don't have to do maybe a full body workout, but you could do specific targeted muscle groups that don't affect the injured area.
Yeah, and that's exactly like what I did the first couple weeks when my knee was out. Is that I would still go do like my sit-ups. I'd still do, the upper body, whatever I could do. Basically, if it wasn't a squat or a walking lunge or running or cycling, I was doing it.
Yeah. They even had those hand bikes you could do.
Yeah. I just the past couple months finally got a membership to Planet Fitness. I've been doing everything at home.
Yeah.
And I seen that again for the first time. I was like, dude, it's been since high school since I've seen one of those.
Yeah, and there's tons of body weight exercises. I see people buying machines all the time that just collect dust and become clothing racks. It's like you don't really
Oh
need
yeah.
anything. You just need your body, maybe a pull-up bar or something. Um, something maybe some hand weights would be helpful, but you don't even need that. You can find a can of soup to start with,
Yeah. Dude, that's what I did for the longest time doing Russian twist. I didn't have a weight. So I took one of my helmets and was using that. I mean, the same thing. Like my whole gym regiment, my whole routine is all body weight.
Yeah.
That's like I see some of these training programs now, like that are all like in the gym, lifting weights, doing everything, and I'm like, I feel better just doing body weight stuff and slimming down. Like I go to the gym for the rowing machine just because I don't have $1,000 to spend on one.
Sure. And so you're doing the rowing machine for cardio? Do you do any running or cycling to supplement?
Yeah, I'm big on uh, getting outside and cycling. Like I had a road bike that I had probably for like 18 months, and it finally just fell apart on me. It was something I got off Walmart.
Right.
Like I want to get a road bike and start cycling again more. Like I enjoy it. I have fun with it. It's just, yeah, I think like the cheapest one I found on Marketplace was like $300 or $400,
Oh yeah.
which like isn't bad compared to what they are, but
Yeah, I mean, if you could get something used, you don't even have to look for brand new. Couple years old, decent condition, you could find something for probably less than $500. But
oh
yeah,
yeah.
dude, they're not cheap. Even if you're just looking for aluminum, um, they're pricey, but they last a long time. Like my dad has a bike from 1965 or something that's still in working condition, so they last a long time if you take care of them.
Yeah, I say that's probably the big thing. Like, I mean, I broke it down. I think I spent like $170 on mine, and it was from Walmart. And finally, the uh, crank pedals, like the bearings started falling apart on it, and it was just getting a ton of play in the pedals. And like, I broke it down. I was like, I spent $170, and it lasted me like well over a year. I was like, I paid basically $8 a month for it. I was like, I got my money's worth.
Pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, I've been using Trek for a while. I'm not sponsored by them yet, but I got a road bike that's Trek. I got a mountain bike that's Trek, and the first one of the first good bikes I had was an old Trek VRX 200, which was a year 2000 mountain bike that I used up until 2 years ago as my main bike. So that was a full suspension, Y frame. It's still usable. It's in my garage right now. It's just it's not the best anymore. The rear shock is kind of completely, it bottoms out all the time, so it's not perfect, but it gets around. It's my backup bike. You know, if someone comes riding with me, I can use the crappy bike and they can ride my really good bike with hydraulic disc brakes. Um, so it's just something to have if I ever need that one in the shop or something.
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing too is like you said, just having something else for someone else to use, like even if it isn't the best. But I mean the fact that it still holds up, like that's cool. Our we got a buddy that's racing the 40 plus class and he's big into mountain biking and he's like, you gotta come, you gotta come. And I was like, man, I told him I think he's got me convinced to go once with him. He's got another bike. But I was like, I'll just mountain biking kicks my butt. I don't like
It's
something about
hard.
mountain biking doesn't sound fun.
Yeah, it's difficult, man. So are you ever racing in the woods? Are you on open tracks in like what's the tracks that you usually race at?
So I do motocross, which is all like open tracks. I actually did get talked into doing not like a full blown woods race. They called it a moto scramble, but it's like a hare scramble mix. They kind of made their own layout for it, but it was I think 2 miles through the woods, and then it connected to the moto track that was there, and it was two 30-minute motos. That's the first woods race I've done in 10 years. The last one I did was at Seagull Club up in Gaylord, Michigan, the Grand Prix that they used to have.
Yeah.
And I ended up winning that on 85. So I was like, kind of always like, well, the last one I did, I won. Like, I'm retired from it. Why go out, go out on top? Why go race another one? But no, I got talked into doing that this year, and it was actually quite a bit of fun.
Yeah, I would imagine it probably feels like you're going a lot faster and is maybe more dangerous.
It felt honestly for me, it felt like I was going a lot slower. Um, but yeah, definitely a lot more dangerous. Like the second moto, I kind of got it figured out, and I was leading till like 20 minutes into it. But 20 minutes, I started getting tired, and like focusing on the trees more and like hesitating, like pausing for the trees and everything instead of just kind of floating around them and having that flow going through the woods where you miss them. And once you get tired in the woods, you start hitting them more with your handlebars and
Yeah, it's not.
looking at them instead of going around them.
Yeah, yeah. I've never raced dirt bikes, but I've raced a whole bunch of mountain bikes, and most of these are from motorcycle road racing. I did
Yeah.
get a dirt bike and start doing not really start racing with it, to be honest. I just want to start getting on one and just get some dirt experience, ride some V trails. Love to do some tracks and just do track days, that type of thing. Snapping. But I'm just not used to the massive jumps that you guys do. Is it nerve-wracking hitting some of these jumps that could be triples sometimes, or like 100-foot gaps?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, down here, a lot of the tracks, the jumps aren't as big as they are from what I'm used to in Michigan. So like now looking back, if I go back to Michigan to ride, I'd probably be terrified of half the jumps.
Yeah.
But like the last race I was at, they call it Turkey Creek, and they got one jump that I really they say it's 90 feet, but I don't think it is. And I mean, there's hardly any landing to it. So even if you make it, it feels like you're just dropping out of the sky. Like
Yeah.
the amount of times I thought I blew my wheels out this weekend. And then if you case it, it's a straight up wall. Like I've watched somebody case it and just destroy both of his wrists.
Yeah.
And like jumps like that definitely get me scared, like a little sketched out at times. But luckily for the most part, I mean, everything seems pretty tame down here. Like Club MX is a big training facility that's 45 minutes from me. And I mean, they got some stuff that intimidates you, but like the more I ride it, the more comfortable I get with that. Maybe that's what it is now, is like the more I'm riding, the more I'm traveling and seeing different stuff, that just I'm comfortable around it.
Yeah. So you're just getting used to it. Just you get thrown into the fire, and now you have to swim.
Yeah.
Okay. And tell me about your rig, your travel rig, your transporter and trailer. What are you using? And is it something you'd recommend to other people trying to get into a sport or looking for something else to haul with?
So it's actually pretty funny because we met through Bob Sawicki,
Yeah.
but I actually have his brother Phil's last van. That I don't know if you ever seen the red van he had.
Yeah, I think
But
they use that for track days from road racing.
yeah, and I got factory Phil's van. I bought that off of him in 2018, and dude, I've just been running that thing for all it's worth. And the family that I stay with now, like I knew them up in Michigan, and their whole family is like spread out. Like the family up there kept me in racing up there, and then like I re-met my original friends down here. But Jason Youngs, he took me in when I first came down here, gave me a place to stay and everything, and he races like the 40 plus class, the 30 plus, and then my best friend Bailey races 250C. And so like the more that they've raced, the more that they've grew. And like this year they like full blown, I mean it's not new, but dude, full blown motorhome, cargo trailer. Like so when I go racing with them, like we kind of got it made compared to the van life.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody has their own unique set of gear that they bring. I made myself, I bought a trailer from Harbor Freight, put it all together, put a piece of wood on it. There's one that you could fold up initially. So I put
Yeah.
on it, put a little, a big box on the front tongue area. So you can put your toolbox and different things in there, spares and whatnot. A chalk and a rear trailer stand. So you could just roll the bike up on there with the pit bull rear stand. It goes right in within 5 seconds. And then 2 ramps mounted on the side. So that's what I use, just open trailer going across the country. I would not recommend that. However, it's great if you're super low budget and just trying to get there. It works. And that's the trailer I used the entire time I raced. So it can be done. It's just your bike's going to be dirty from the road every time you get there. You know, it's not It rained when I went from Michigan to Alabama the entire time, and that was not ideal. I had water in my gas tank, even though it was all sealed and everything. Um, so it can cause problems.
Oh yeah, I mean that's like I got an older cargo van, style, and like for what I do, it's great. But now I'm kind of getting to where I carry a little bit more parts, or like I don't have like the biggest bed space, so it'd be kind like I've always been eyeballing like Sprinter vans. I'm like, that's what you need to like kind of go racing on a budget, but be like have what you need, simplicity. But man, those things are expensive. Like I'd almost say the best way to go is like a cargo van with a small little enclosed trailer with it, and I mean that's all you need if you have the right motor in the van to pull it.
For sure. And a lot of people do the toy haulers, which is kind of nice. I mean, that's a more expensive route than more luxury. Toy haulers, they have a full
Yeah.
garage in the back and then living quarters in the front. I think when I get back into it, I'm not racing motorsports right now because of the finance of it all. I switched to mountain bikes for now because it's way cheaper. But I would like to get a new truck myself and then just get a probably 7x12 trailer enclosed with a ramp door, V-nose type of thing. And that's really, I think, all I need, just something enclosed that I could fit, a generator, a bike, maybe 2 bikes, a bicycle, that kind of thing, all your spares, canopies.
Oh yeah, I would say like the Vino style enclosed trailers, like you're saying with like the drop or the ramp in the back, like that's such a common thing to see. The pickup truck with the trailer show up like local weekend racing, like that'd be awesome. And honestly, like I've slept in one before when I went south. Like it's not bad to sleep in. Um, to me, it just always seems like you got a truck and a trailer you're hauling, so it's a little bit more of what you're pulling around, but compared to a van. But I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like for the local family, like that's a great setup to have. It's not bad either. Like you said, all your stuff's out of the weather.
Yeah.
And I mean, my dad up in Michigan's got a 12-footer. And like I said, Jason down here, he's got, I think we're at a 14-footer. And I mean, we get the golf cart in it, 2 generators, and they get his and Bailey's bike in there. And most of the local races, I just drive with them to meet them. But they used to have a toy hauler, and like everybody thinks that those are the way to go. Like get a toy hauler, you can put your stuff in there, but they can't sleep anybody. Like when we go to the races, it's always Jason, his daughter, Bailey and his girlfriend, and me and my girlfriend, and like the motorhome's packed.
Yeah.
So, and toy haulers can't sleep that many people.
So is your van your daily driver as well?
Yeah, it is now. I had a '09 car or Chevy Impala when I moved down here, and now it's just that thing kind of started falling apart, and I ended up selling it to be able to afford to go racing last year, and now we're just van life every day.
There you go. That's pretty cool. I mean, everybody's got their own thing, right? And so you would consider yourself more of a privateer versus factory at this point?
Yeah, and it's kind of ironic of everybody that's like, well, we got help and we got these sponsors and that sponsors, and like I got sponsors that help me out, but by all means, I still pay 90%, if not more, out of my pocket, just because. I mean, like you look at some of the guys that are making the top 40 on TV, that like 40th place, doesn't have a ride, and then there's still like a good. I think this year they restricted it, but before, I mean, there's still like a good 80 guys that tried qualifying that day that didn't even get a line up.
Wow.
Like, or I think it might be 40. So like 80th place out of qualifying that day, like, he's privateering it too, and I'm still behind that guy a good bit. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're for sure privateer life.
It's just super competitive, and there's so many guys now who are at that level. unless you're doing it full time with a massive budget and a full crew around you, it's hard to do it yourself. I did it myself nearly all the time. I mean, sure, there were definitely a lot of people who helped me out, but normally I was driving the car myself. I was driving the truck, you know, everything. I was unloading it all, putting it, you know, changing the tires myself. Maybe I had an extra set of hands here and there, but it's a lot, especially then you crash and now you're sore and injured and then you got to drive home yourself to, 12 hours, whatever it is.
Oh yeah, like my buddy Hunter Sales is racing East Coast Supercross, and he just got down at a club a couple weeks ago. And dude, I remember last year like him telling me like what they do, and it was him and his girlfriend. They had a rig for a while they were staying in because he's up from Wisconsin, northern Michigan area. So the dealership that's helping him out has a little bit of a hauler that they were letting him stay in at club just so they could store it out of the snow. And they stayed in that for his whole off season. And as soon as the season started, it was like him, his girlfriend, and his mechanic going to all the rounds. And he's like, yeah, he goes, I'm making the main. And he goes, literally from my heat race until the main event, he was like, I'm busting my butt. And I remember like we went up to a small indoor race and it was just him and his girlfriend. And I ended up helping him out for the night just to give her a break. Cause I know like she's been in it every day since I think they came down in November last year. So like every day from November until February, I was like, I'll give you one night of a break at least, like kind of enjoy the environment and racing.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, you might say, oh, hey, my friend's racing in this race and it's his first time. And I mentioned that to one of my friends and he said, oh, is he going to win? I'm like, probably not. No.
Yeah.
You know, that's not the point. The point is he's doing this race maybe for the first time, or he's just doing another race. He's trying to do as best as he can. Sometimes you don't win, and it's not like a yes, no in racing. It's how did you do? Did you do better than last time? Like, are you happy with your results? How can you improve? It's always just a constant learning curve.
Oh yeah. And like that's the huge thing. Like for me stepping up to A class now is like because like the first round I won the first moto against the kid we raced Max, and then the second moto I lost by half a tire.
Oh man.
Like so I kind of had the higher standards, and then the second round it was another local pro that we have, Jason Dragonetti, who like absolutely just shreds, and he was on a KTM and he got a Yamaha, and like ever since he got the Yamaha he went to a whole new level. And then it was Max again. And then I don't know if we had anybody else at that one, but like I remember just being like super frustrated on myself, like hard on myself. And Jason asked me, the dad I stay with, he's like, well, did you get better? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you got to remember too, like, because Max has his pro card as well. He's like, you got beat by two legit pros. Like, you can't be too hard on yourself about it. Like, yeah, it's frustrating because we are racing for money now. And like, even the last round, Robbie, I don't think Robbie has his pro license anymore, but has had it for many years. And then Max again, the other kid we had that I think he's just a local that came out of the woods for the weekend. But like I got better. I mean, I was still frustrated that like Max ended up beating me because I think he only beat me by like 3 seconds this weekend instead of half a track.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like Jason's told me, he's like, dude, you can't be too frustrated on yourself, because he's like, I understand like it's a decent, it's getting your money back almost in a little bit for the day. He's like, so it's a little bit of money on the line, but he goes at the same time, like if you're not having fun racing, he's like, if you're racing just for the money at this point, you're doing it for the wrong reason. And that's kind of like where I keep myself in check of like, go race, have fun, but also on the backside, try making a little bit of money instead of like reversing it where you're trying to make money, have fun later.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important that if you don't get the finances right of racing, you won't be doing it for long. So it's a part of it. And it's not about greed. It's just like it costs a lot of money to do each event. And you're basically a professional at this point. So you should get paid for your services in a way, and you should not have to be broke doing it.
Well, we're still local A class. I got to go through and do all of my pro-ams, which I think we're going to start in March to do that. And it's funny because, like, or I shouldn't say it's funny. I mean, it's kind of how we see it too. Like, Jason keeps me in check quite a bit. He's like, so you're going to be the wannabe pro. And I'm like, the what? And he's like, there's the pros that make it, that are making a living. And then there's the guys that are pro that are wanting to be making the living. And I was like, okay. And he's like, understand, like, you're still gonna work a day job even if you get your pro license. And I was like, yeah, like, we're kind of on the tail end of it, which, like, don't get me wrong, it's just like, I mean, that's the world. But yeah, I still got to go through and do my pro-ams to even get my pro card. But I think if we stick with the training I'm sticking with right now, and keep my head down with a couple people that are backing us, I think February, March, we're going to start doing pro-ams, start chasing that.
Yeah, so explain a little bit, what is pro-am and how do you get actually licensed to be a pro in this sport?
So for us, pro-ams, I did it a couple years ago with a buddy. I think we did like 3 of them, and they call it's still like 250 and 450A, but AMA will sanction like certain races throughout the country and call them a pro-am, and it rewards pro-am points. And like back when my buddy Cody, when we were trying to do it for him, I think it was like 75 points you had to get in 12 months. And like, say if you get like 10th at a pro-am, I think you got like 5 points towards your license, so you only got to get 70 more. And I think now they knocked it down to 60 points in 18 months.
Okay.
So it's kind of for the people that don't do Loretta Lynn's, that don't make it in the top 42. Because if you qualify for Loretta's in A class, you automatically have it. So it's kind of that alternative route of getting it. Some say easier, some say more expensive. I kind of see both sides of the fence. I mean,
You can just
because
do
on a bad day,
just do one race,
yeah.
qualify, you're good to go.
If you win it, you only get 25 points. So you got to do at least 3.
I gotcha.
But I mean, like, I see it a little bit like, yeah, it's easier, but it also probably costs more because you're traveling around more. But like, you have a bad day at a pro-am, you could still get a point as long as if there's like 40 guys and you finish, I think you get a point if I read it right still. And that's still a long drive home for not what you intended on showing up for. But I mean, it's better than going home with nothing.
Oh, for sure. And that's racing sometimes. Sometimes you go home with nothing and just a wrecked bike.
Yeah.
For sure. And so, how far are you normally traveling for your races? Are you going all the way across the country to like California, or are you doing more regional stuff?
No, so I haven't even went out as far as mile thing. No, I've been more on the East Coast side of it. Like, the local stuff I've been racing a lot is all in South and North Carolina. We went up to High Point for a race this summer, and Florida and Tennessee for a race. But like pro-ams, those are going to be all over. They're all over the country, but I'm going to kind of pick and choose and do the ones on the East Coast that are close to me, just for the cost of it.
Yeah, it makes sense. It doesn't make sense to go all the way across the country for another regional race. Right? It'd have to be a bigger, a massive race.
What was that?
Yeah, it would just say you'd have to go across the country for a much bigger race than just another regional race.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's, don't get me wrong. Like, I know a couple people that just went out. They went to Florida for Minios, and then they went out to Arizona for the Arizona Open. Which, like, but how Supercross Futures worked out this year, I guess the Arizona Open ended up being a road to Supercross race. But like, which, like, that pays off. But for me to go like Florida to Arizona when I could wait a couple weeks and go Florida to like Virginia, say next year, like I'd rather do that than be back and forth. Like I'm a little bit more realistic with it, and like I'm gonna go the cheaper way of achieving my pro-am points instead of trying to knock it out in, say 2 months. Like
Right.
I'll probably end up taking closer to a year to get it. Probably, I'm hoping not, but if that's how the schedule lays out, it's how it lays out. I'm not gonna go into debt just to get it faster.
Sure, that makes sense. And so tell me a little bit about your machine. What are you riding, the year and the make and the model and everything? And is that your ideal bike that you would like to be riding?
So right now, I recently made the switch to Kawasaki's. I went and got a 2021 KX450.
Okay.
Before that, I was pretty much diehard Yamahas. When I came down here, I normally don't keep a bike very long either. Like I keep it for 40, maybe 50 hours, and then like I post it up for sale just because I'm not majorly mechanically inclined, and for me, after like 50 hours, it's just hard to get any kind of value out of a bike. So I'd rather just sell it and kind of start over, which definitely isn't like financially smart, but I still like the Yamahas, but they just had so much raw power that I was having a problem getting it tuned to where I liked it, like almost like a 250, but still with the 450 snap. And I was just playing around one day, and I asked somebody that had 2019 Kawasaki, and I was like, "Hey, can I ride it?" And didn't even set nothing up for me, didn't move his levers at all, and I turned a lap time that was like a second and a half faster than my Yamaha,
Oh
and
wow.
it turned better. Like everything felt smoother on it, and I was like, "This is dangerous because now I want one."
Right.
And I went home that night, and I ended up posting my Yamaha for sale. I had a 2020, and I ended up posting that for sale, and ended up with the Cowie, and it's been great. Like I haven't got any spare parts yet for it, which they're kind of hard to find with COVID. Certain things like a clutch and just odd and end things. But like when I first got it, I was like, I want to see how long everything lasts because the Cowies kind of have a reputation of not lasting as long. And like, my clutch is just starting to go out at 27 hours, and I could get like 12 hours out of a Yamaha one. So
Okay.
I'm like, the clutch lasts longer. Chain sliders, on the other hand, are like a completely opposite story. Like those go every 2 hours. I wear through it seems like, but it's been a great bike so far. I mean, the power is great. It handles great. Like everybody keeps bugging me about when I'm gonna go get suspension done, and I'm like, like they keep telling me get stiffer spring rates. This is what everybody says to do, and you got to revalve it because the production's not that great. Like I've been racing on bone stock stuff, and I got a pretty good setting in it where I'm happy with it.
So how long does it take you to get to 50 hours of ride time in months or days?
So I work Monday through Friday, so I only normally get like Saturdays and Sundays to ride, and sometimes Wednesdays, like when it was in summer months. So actually, I think I have it. Well, I got the Kawasaki in October, so I probably put close to like 10 to 20 hours on it in a month. It depends on what kind of riding we're doing and what kind of training we got lined up.
Okay. So you're going through bikes pretty quick then.
Yeah, it's catching up quick.
Yeah. But as long as you sell one and then you get another one, it helps pay for the other one, right?
Yeah, like I said, it's definitely not the financial smart way of doing it,
Yeah.
but it's kind of turned into sell the bike to pay one bike loan off to get another bike loan to 3 months later sell that bike loan or sell that bike to pay off the bike loan and ongoing cycle.
Yeah.
But
Makes sense. I
I
mean,
mean, like I said, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
yeah. I mean, everybody's got their own methods. It sounds like your method might be more of a whole revamp on the bike, and you get something brand new. Now, are you having to modify a lot on the bikes? Like, do you have to do much to it to make it race ready, or is it pretty much ready to go?
No, so like my Kawasaki, all I did was put my whole set device on it and change out my handlebars, and that was it. Put a gripper seat cover on it, and I literally went and picked it up on I picked it up on a Friday, and I went and raced it on Saturday.
Wow, that's pretty cool. See, with a sport bike, you still have to do a lot to it. You have to at least, if you're racing, you should get new body work. I mean, that's not mandatory, but take all your glass off, headlights, tail, turn signals, plate, those type of things. But safety wire, do you do any safety wire to the dirt bikes?
Um, there is a couple. I shouldn't say couple, but there's a good amount of like privateers that I know that are like racing the outdoor nationals quite a bit. Like they'll break wire their like master cylinder bolt and the front, like the master cylinder bolts on the front and rear brake, like their counter shaft sprocket, they'll safety wire and clutch bolts, like they'll do that. Like I'm not big on it. I've luckily never had any issues with anything coming out like that, but I've definitely seen it done.
But they don't require it.
No, they don't require it, which is kind of nice. I mean, for you guys like sport bike, like you said, I mean that's definitely a whole lot faster speeds, a lot more risk, and I could see it being a bigger safety thing on those.
But I'm thinking you guys are still going what 60 miles an hour after some of these jumps.
Actually, I don't. It's not quite that fast for like some of the local tracks that I know. Like we got one track that's a sand track that's pretty wide open, and I have a polar watch with the heart rate monitor and the GPS and everything on it.
Yeah.
And I remember just one day, like I went through and looked at max speed just for the fun of it, and I think my max speed only got to like 54 or 55, and it was down one of the super long straightaways that didn't have anything on it.
Yeah. All right. I guess I figured you're going a lot faster than that, but some of the tracks might be a lot tighter than I'm thinking.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong, like the guys that are beating me definitely could be hitting 60 miles an hour. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I'm the low guy in A class. Like, I'm barely getting in, um, barely even there type thing. Like the guys that are winning local A class, like even the pros that are like like lining up for the LCQ, they could definitely probably hit 60 miles an hour with no problem. For me, it's getting comfortable going those speeds right now, and like the more comfortable I get, the faster I'll push it, and then everything kind of goes hand in hand. So it's definitely possible where we could be getting up to 60 miles an hour. I just haven't been there yet.
Yeah. So what do you think is one of the main ingredients to help get you to where they are? Is it just seat time, more time on the bike, or is it a mentality or amount of training?
I think it's honestly a little bit of everything. You know, the series we're racing now, the second race, I skipped Saturday practice. Like I went and worked, figured, I'll make a little bit extra money, and I rode horrible Sunday. Like I don't know if it was just the lack of seat time or whatever it was, but like I'm a firm believer. The more I ride, the more I'm on the bike, the more comfortable I am, and like to get to their level, definitely probably have to ride more. And the big thing is riding with those guys. Like the more I ride with them, the more comfortable I get, and the more the more I get closer. But like training now, I used to always ask myself like, oh, what would my competition do? And I'm like, well, they're probably slacking off on this. And I'm like, okay, I'll do like one round of it. And now I look at my workout schedule and I'm like, I know, like I always compare this dude is just beating me. So like I use Max Darling a lot for reference right now. And I'm like, I got a feeling, dude, like Max is doing all of this and then some. So like I have to do everything.
Yeah.
And it's like when I want to go eat fast food, I'm like, I guarantee he's at home eating like a chicken salad or something that is going to benefit his body a lot more than mine.
So that's my next question. Are you super strict with your diet? Do you have a meal plan? Do you meal prep or kind of a little bit more lax and have some ice cream here and there?
I definitely try being strict. Like a year ago, I probably weighed close to like 220 pounds, and now I'm down to 170. So like, I'm an inner fat kid at heart. Like I definitely like my sweets still. Like I like my pizza. I like my ice cream.
Yeah.
But I definitely try to cut it down to like very minimum. And I kind of watch what I eat, like look at the nutrition value of it. Like I eat a lot of chicken and steak, asparagus and salmon and rice. Like that's yeah, I could eat chicken and rice or steak and rice every single night and wouldn't complain one bit. Like I'm kind of basic when it comes to my food, but like doing that and like when I was 220 pounds, I was a heavy equipment operator too. So like I wasn't moving. Now I'm climbing trees and doing tree work. So like I'm moving more. I eat better during the day instead of just eating junk food and sitting around. And honestly, the biggest thing for me, like that helps with losing weight and like helps my day out every single morning now is eating breakfast, like oatmeal or eggs.
Okay.
So
Used to skip.
I definitely try to be strict, but definitely still gets away from me at times.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, 40 to 50 pound weight loss, that's a big deal. That's a lot of weight.
Oh yeah, it was definitely crazy. Like it's ironic now because I ended up racing with my old trainer Jason Dragonetti. He follows a lot of like entrepreneurs and business owners because he runs a graphic company, runs a facility, and trains kids. So he ran into contact with a guy named Andy Frisella who does this program called 75 Hard, and it's a mental toughness program. And he did it and was telling me all about it. And when I tore my knee, I like texted him and I was like, dude, like, am I as fast as you're saying I'm going right now? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I don't feel it. Like I'd come home from the track day at certain days and be like, I didn't feel like I was going that fast. And I'd see a video and be like, oh, I'm actually going fast. Like my mental confidence was just horrible. And he's like, finally, like, I think it was December 28th or something. He's like, if I'm gonna work with you next year, you have to do it. And I was like, well, why? He's like, he goes, A, it's your boot camp. B, he goes, you'll be in better shape. He goes, you'll be a lot more mentally tough. Like, and the way you look at life is just gonna change, like for the better. He's like, you won't have any doubt. He goes, everything will just like kind of start clicking and falling in place. So I ended up doing that, and that was probably, I think, a good like 30 pounds of it.
Okay.
No, maybe like 25 of it. So over the summer, I was kind of cycling on my own and working out here and there, cleaning up what I ate a little bit. But I think just the biggest thing is like for me, Michigan winters would hurt me horribly. Like just no motivation, no like just all idle time sitting
The
around.
lack of sunshine.
Yeah,
Yeah, being I would love to move outside of Michigan. It's definitely on the list, but maybe a couple years from now, that's the plan because I would love to be outside where the wind doesn't hurt my face just to go outside and you don't have to bundle up with a hoodie and a jacket and 3 shirts underneath just to go outside.
oh yeah,
It's not ideal, I'd say. I'm thinking somewhere below the snow belt.
yeah. But it's actually crazy because one of my buddies that just moved down here from Michigan, it's funny, he raced my bike at the first Turkey Creek race there. And he showed up and he's like, practice starts at 9, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, where is everybody? I was like, this is kind of the turnout we get. He goes, dude, Michigan's like blown up racing. I don't know how it is for like road bike racing, but like down here, everybody rides. There's probably 5 different races happening in the weekend in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Where like Michigan, everybody kind of can agree and like show up at one place and they get a bigger turnout. And it helps the tracks out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there were sometimes pretty small grids. Sometimes you get up to 15 people at the maybe 20 or more at a national event for each class. But it definitely varies at the regional races in the northern areas. And I would race all the classes. So sometimes, like for the stock 600 class, everybody wants to race in that one, or the 1000 superbike class, everybody wants to race in that one. So there'd be certain classes that have tons of riders in it, but maybe like the 750 superbike has two guys in it, so it varies.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing too. Is like down here, it kind of seems like whoever's named on the series, people have their favorites.
Yeah.
Like, and there's a lot more of like the 85 and 65 and 50 kids that I'm seeing more than big bikes. But like my buddy Tyler was saying that just came out from Michigan, he's like every class has at least 10 people, if not more, in it. And I was like, really? Like it's different than when I was there. But the problem is like South and North Carolina are so big where, like I said, if people go to their favorite like promoter,
Yeah.
which kind of hurts certain series at times. And but at the same time, I mean, everybody's got to get their paycheck somehow.
So do you have a favorite series or promoter that you'd like to race with?
So we normally race the Carolina Outlaw Series, and I don't know who runs that. It's just for us, it was the closest race when I came down here series to run, and then recently, like normally through the winter, it just turns to indoor racing down here, which like it's fine by me. I don't go race indoors. I'll just go practice all winter. But Donnie Adams at Motivated Sports put together this really cool fall and the spring series, and Donnie's a cool dude. He puts on a great track, and like, dude, I've been having a blast racing it.
Well, good.
Like, it makes me wonder, like, because they do a summer series too with Motivated, like, but they travel quite a bit more, so I kind of didn't end up doing it. And now I'm like, dude, why the heck didn't I do it? Like, Donnie makes tracks way better than I've seen a good bit of the tracks down here, and he'll do what like Friday night. I think we got like 3 inches of rain, and Turkey Creek's all red clay. And I just happened, like, I get up early, and I just happened to be like rolling Saturday morning, and Donnie's out there with a shoveling trenches to drain the ponds,
Yeah.
so that he can go riff and we can have a good track for the day. I was like, anybody else down here would be like, yeah, practice is canceled today. We're gonna save the track for Sunday. Like Donnie goes out and makes it happen.
That's good. That's good to hear. And we're nearing our hour cap here. We got a few minutes left, but do you want to give it any sponsor shout outs? I think you have Blood Racing on your hat.
Yeah, so for sure, EKS has been a huge help. They're going to be a huge help in 2021. Definitely Bob Sulicki for even like letting us meet, and Bob helps me out time to time. I kind of went through a phase where I was just over racing altogether, like didn't care for it, and Bob made me go have fun again, made me go ride and have fun. So like definitely huge thanks to him for even like for keeping me in it really, and relighting the fire. And then FXR for hooking us up with gear for the year. Privateer Connection, Chuck over there is our local parts shop. That dude can do anything from building a mod motor to finding you a part that you didn't think you were going to find, and he'll find it for half the cost that you can get it for. He does my suspension when I need it. Mika metals for chain and sprockets, handlebars, and DT1 filters. They do all of our filters. Definitely, like you said, Blood. Jeff over there has been great. I remember the first order I did, I think it was for like, I can't remember what weight oil, and he emailed me back, was like, hey, what bike do you run? I told him, he's like, I'd recommend this for the summer months. Like, you're going to burn your motor up if you run that. So, like, he even takes a look out for his guys. Rhino Power for their supplements. Like, I've been a huge believer in their recovery pills, motivation pills, and the hydro fuel. Like, I swear I live off that stuff. 784 MX Schools, he's going to be helping me out a little bit through next year as well. Liquid Skin Designs is doing my graphics.
We got Curry Electric. Robert Curry, he's a guy that I met down here. He's the one that I was telling you that does mountain biking.
Oh yeah.
But he's gonna help us out with getting gate fees. He's got a 21 Kawasaki too, so like I'll show up to a race and he'll be like, "Hey, I bought foot pegs," and he'll show me them. And I'm like, "Oh, those are cool." He's like, "Yeah, take them." I'm like, "These are yours." He goes, "No, I bought 2 sets." I'm like, "Alrighty, I ain't gonna complain one bit."
Yeah, that's nice. Guy.
Yeah, for sure. Hoosier Tire. Josh over there has been taking care of us whenever I need tires.
Now, do you guys spec tires for the series that you're racing, or can you use any tire?
We can use any tire we want, which has been pretty cool. Like I know my buddy does dirt racing with cars, and like they got to run a certain tire for street stocks or modifieds. Like they got to run a different tire. But it's cool. Like we get to use whatever we want. Like I like Hoosiers for racing, but there's definitely the months where like money gets tight and somebody hands you a Pirelli or a Dunlop, and you're like, I'll put it on and run it.
Yeah.
But for sure them. And then I got entered in a Facebook contest actually with a company called Stubbs 11, and like I didn't think nothing of it, and I like sent my resume in. They gave me the sponsorship, and like ended up being super cool people. Like that's gonna be a huge help working with Stubbs 11 for next year with the entry fees, and then my dad like still helps me out here and there. Like he makes me work for my money now. Definitely makes me understand the value of a dollar. But I think he enjoys it now that I'm actually like putting the effort back in. So he helps me out still. And then Jason Young's honestly has been like the biggest help for me, because if it wasn't for him and like the whole Young's family, I would have went. Like I came down in January of 2019. And I just stayed for like 3 months. So like if it wasn't for him giving me a room to stay in and feeding me, and like we always joke like I got adopted at 20 years old. Took long enough. But if it wasn't for him, I would have went back to Michigan, and what I've done in the past year and a half with racing and how much faster I've gotten, fitter, and like the drive I have, all that wouldn't be possible without him ever giving me the chance. So like every day I give it up to him, and I try to give back to him as much as I can.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. And where can people find you on social media? I think you have a YouTube channel that's pretty good.
Yeah, so I've definitely like caught on that YouTube vlogs and all that's kind of not really taken off, but it's helping people out. So I think we're gonna try doing that. Like I post GoPro videos right now, but all I got the GoPro Hero 4, so like the qualities aren't that great. But I'm just trying to like at least get a small following now. And then hopefully either, if I start doing vlogs, we can either make that grow or even get like a newer GoPro so that we can actually post good videos of tracks. But yeah, my YouTube is just Joseph Kremkow, and should be able to find me wearing the American flag tux on that one.
Very good. So you're on YouTube. Any other places there?
I got my Instagram. It's jkrem388 with no underscore or no spacing, and then my Facebook is the same thing, Joseph Kremkow.
Okay, very good. And is there any parting message for the world you'd like to say?
That's a tough one. I wasn't expecting that one.
That's a bombshell.
Oh yeah. Probably the biggest thing is important message would just be, if you have a hope or a dream, like no matter how much money you have, like you could have next to nothing, but if your mind will truly want it, like if you're truly driven to do it with your mind, like there's gonna be a way that opens up. Like it might not be pretty, you might be broke, like you might live out of a van. Like if if you got a dream though, like definitely chase it. Like I kind of look at the bigger picture, and I get accused of it a lot of like I need to grow up, but I'm having fun. Like I'm 22, and I understand I only get one chance at this. So like I want to live it up as long as I can until I really do need to grow up. And it's been crazy. Like I've started believing in myself in my racing more, and even on the hard weekends where you're frustrated, like a lot of people lose the self-hope, that's where mine gets bigger. And it seems that the following week, the gym workouts end up getting easier. If we go to the track and practice, like all of my practicing ends up getting easier. Lap times are dropping. Like when I like don't lose hope. I guess I'm bad about rambling, but like the end of it, like be headstrong, be driven, and just don't lose hope, even if it seems like it's far away or impossible.
Very good. Well, I like it a lot. I appreciate that message, and thanks for coming on here so much. I'm going to get this posted, try to get it posted fairly quickly, and make sure to tag you. If you could, tag anybody that we talked about, and it'll be posted shortly.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'll definitely make sure to share it. And thank you for the opportunity to do it. It's the first podcast I've ever got to do, so it's cool. It's different, and I can't wait to work with you and everybody else for 2021.
Very good. Well, have a great night, and I'll talk to you soon.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.